All right, let's admit it. We're super dupes excited about Star Wars Battlefront. That's right, super dupes. And we're also super dupes worried that EA is gonna screw it up since, you know, they have a track record of digging to China and back. But you know what? We've been testing the beta, and by we I mean Anthony, and so far we haven't run into any problems. Again, Anthony, I really want to play it. I'm actually going to play it right after I finish this video. In case you were wondering what this video was, by the way, it's a hardware guide for Star Wars Battlefront, so stay tuned. Okay, seriously though, so far the Star Wars Battlefront beta has been running very smoothly. We know a lot of you out there are worried about the high system requirements, so we're back with another hardware guide to help you guys out. Let's start with the basics. The game runs on an enhanced Frostbite 3 engine, which is the same one used for Battlefield 4, Battlefield Hardline, Dragon Age Inquisition, and the upcoming Need for Speed reboot. Now, that doesn't mean that it'll perform exactly the same, since all of these games use completely different models, shaders, assets, and textures, but it does mean that Battlefront will be slightly harder to run. If you've played any of the games we just listed, then you'll have a pretty good idea of how your system will handle Battlefront. But if you haven't, well, Anthony did some testing for you. Long, hard, arduous testing that involved playing Battlefront for a long time. It's a tough job, but Anthony knew what he was getting himself into. We did our testing on the early access beta using NVIDIA 358.50 and AMD Catalyst 15.7.1 drivers in Windows 10. It's interesting to note that NVIDIA released fully signed and optimized drivers alongside the beta launch, which is something you don't often see. Let's take a look at processors first. EA's official requirements are an Intel i3 at a minimum and an i5 as the recommended processor. It's safe to assume that this game needs a minimum of 4 cores, even if 2 of them are from hyperthreading. A dual-core processor like the G3258 will work, but you might experience some stuttering in larger scale battles. Next up, RAM. It requires a minimum of 8 GB and a recommended amount of 16 GB. We noticed in the 20 vs 20 Walker Assault mode that the game only uses around 3.5 to 5 gigs of RAM. Once you factor in your operating system and background processes, 8 gigs is starting to run out very quickly. You'll also have to remember that the beta is extremely limited right now. Once the game launches, you can expect even bigger maps, more vehicles, and even more 3D assets, all of which eat up your RAM. That was RAM eating. Finally, the most important part, video cards, which is the only component I bothered to put on the table. The good news is that this game scales very well, both on the low end and the high end. The bad news is, this is still a high-end AAA title, so you'll need a pretty good system. Battlefront does offer a resolution scale, so you'll be able to find playable settings no matter what you're using, within reason, of course. You shouldn't play this game on a toaster, for example. That's stupid. And if you use 50% resolution scaling, well, of course, don't expect the game to look all that great. Now, in looking at video cards, let's break it down by monitor resolution at 60 Hz. If you're trying to get into this game as cheap as possible on the lowest settings, then you'll need at the very least a GTX 660 or Radeon R7 265 to maintain a minimum above 30 FPS. For ultra settings, you'll need at least an NVIDIA GTX 960 or Radeon R9 285 to maintain smooth gameplay, again, at a minimum 30 FPS. Now for 1440p monitors, you'll want a GTX 970 or R9 280X. You can expect smooth gameplay with a minimum above 30 FPS and an average around 50 FPS. Now for ultra-wide 1440p monitors, bump yourself up to a GTX 980 or an R9 290 to maintain that 30 FPS minimum on Ultra. Finally, for 4K at Ultra settings, a single card won't actually be enough in Star Wars Battlefront. Even with our Titan X, we only averaged 45 FPS with a minimum that dipped below 30 FPS. Now, you'll either have to turn down some settings or you're going to have to get yourself 2 980 Ti's or a 295X2. And since this is a fast-paced competitive shooter, those with 144Hz monitors are going to have a bit of a better time. But to power those, you'll need quite a lot of horsepower. Power. At 1080p, you'll need at least a 980 Ti or an R9 Fury. For 1440p, you'll need at least a Titan X or a Fury X. Or you can SLI or Crossfire cards like the GTX 970 or R9 280X. Luckily for us, this game actually scales wonderfully with 2 cards. Well guys, there you have it, a quick and easy guide to what you need to play Star Wars Battlefront well. Keep in mind that this is a beta, so you can expect to see some slight improvements, but probably nothing more than a 5% difference. Let us know in the comments below what hardware you're going to be using to play Battlefront. If you're not going to play it, well, I don't understand why you would do that, but if you're not going to, you can always tweet at us or just watch some more videos from us over here. Thanks for watching this video, guys. Be sure to like and subscribe for more videos like this from NCIX. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go play the beta, actually. Like, for real, that's what I'm gonna go do because I haven't played it yet, since Anthony only managed to get 1 early access code. I had to watch everybody laughing in my face with how much fun they were having. Alright, really though, you should play it. It's an open beta. You have no excuse. Except if you are working all the time. And you have other important things to do instead of playing video games. I understand, but you should try. Alright, see ya.